I got assaulted. It was D-wing it was. I worked on B-wing normally. And a prisoner who was out on association. So he turns round to other two staff who were stood on the twos and said, "Come down here now before I knock him out." And then he walked off. So it took me a minute to process, and I thought, he's just threatening to knock me out. He's going behind his door. You're going behind your door, you can't threaten staff, speak to staff like that. And so we thought, right, he's not listening, we're going to have to guide him back physically. So I placed an hand on him and she said, "Yo, come on, you need to go back." His left arm, he had a hot cup of tea, like freshly made, straight over me, in my face, on my neck, all over my shirt. And he was burning out. I remember shouting out because I could feel the burn. And then, obviously, the other two staff jumped on him.
Got a lad here. Gonna let him introduce himself.
Yeah, so I'm Dave. Up until September last year, 23, I was prison officer, HMP Style. I'm in HMP Grizzly. Did a brief period of detached duty at HMP Omley in the Midlands. And I just want to share my story of what the prison service is like now, what needs to change, my experience.
Right, let's get straight into it. First thing, why did you join the prison service?
Well, my original plan was be a police officer. Did a little degree in policing at uni. Did some time as special constable. And I was attached almost full time for a few years to like response team in police. I was out on my own sometimes, going to incidents, doing little investigations. And that was my plan. But I tried to get in, past assessments, interviews. Because of budget cuts and that, it never happened.
Any regrets?
No, looking back. So I thought, right, after police, what's sort of next? Prison service is similar. So I thought I'll give it a shot. I applied initially April 2017 to Garth, but I just couldn't be arsed, honestly. I did the online assessment, left it, had second thoughts, and then obviously later on, 2018, I applied, went through it all to HMP Style, women's jail, and I got in, got to the assessment day, passed it all, got the job.
Incidentally, Grizzly, HMP Grizzly in the background. We're in the visitors car park. Very appropriate place, I think. Right, Style is a women's prison. I'm going to be blunt straight off the bat. My mate, when I interviewed him, said, never aspired to work in a women's jail. His reason being, he won't trust himself. What is it like as a man?
As a man, personally, I was never had that feeling towards any of them. Well, partly because in my mind I knew it wasn't worth it.
Is it difficult, though?
I wouldn't say so, no. I wouldn't say I found anyone there attractive in terms of prisoners.
No.
Honestly. I don't know what you're asking.
No, I'm asking, is it a difficult job as a man? There's obviously a lot of people in there who've been through the mill.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of self-harming.
A lot of women who don't like men don't trust men because of abuse they've suffered.
Right, now we're going now. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, as a man, how difficult was it doing? Because you were there 3 years, weren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you'll have seen a lot there.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma.
A lot of self-harm, a lot of mental health, a lot of people who'd had quite normal lives and because of quirk of fate happened in my life, who've gone down a bad path, drugs, self-harming, mental health. And it's sad to see, it is sad to see.
How many male staff are in that environment?
I'd say it was 50-50, to be honest, male and female, when I was there.
Really?
Only after I left and moved to Grizzly, they started recruiting specifically female.
This is my whole point.
Yeah.
Really, in a women's jail, you need women, don't you?
Yeah, because I couldn't search anyone. I couldn't, say if I went on an escort, I had to be with a woman. And it was hard for them to do it because we had that many male staff. And like I say, it's 50-50, but we're not all on shift together. So our scheduling works, it could be 70-30 one day. You know, you could never get it right.
Did you enjoy the job?
It took me about 9 months to sort of work out, sort of go into the jail and be confident in what I was doing day to day. But to be honest, I did at first at Style. Because I was there, I went live from my training sort of May 19.
2019.
Obviously COVID kicked in fully March 20.
Yep.
So that period of time was all right. But obviously COVID changed everything. And then after COVID, we thought it was going to get better. Things started going worse and worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there any good management or did you rate the management?
The good managers there, I'm not being biased, were ones who'd come from other jails. Because Style, in terms of its layout, in terms of everything, the culture, it's different to any other jail.
It's not like a normal prison, is it?
No. It's got one traditional wing, like 2 landings either side, about 100 prisoners.
That I'd recognise.
And then, but it's built on the ground style of an old orphanage. And it's got about 14 cottages. And they use the cottages as houses. So it's like, they're in rows. So you'd have like A row, B row, C row, D row, so on. And then like A1, A2, and all of that. And then each of them houses would have, some had like 16. I think the biggest one had 30 women on.
Were they locked in at night?
Well, the house door was locked, the front door to the house.
Yes.
But we had free run of the house. So if you want to go to the kitchen, if you want to sit and watch telly in the living room, you could. But that's
the Norway model for male prisoners, isn't it?
Is it? I know. Yeah,
it is. It's not like traditional prisoners. They give them more freedom. People frown on that. I think people, or appear to want in this country, tough. But Norway works.
Yeah.
Less violence. They turn people round. They don't go back to jail. So, but style itself then. So it was pretty laid back.
I personally thought it was quite dangerous how we just locked the front door and the women had free run of the house because...
Did you ever go in at night?
In a traditional wing at night, each house had a call bell. So not each room, each house.
Right.
So anything could happen when we're on there. There's 14 houses, like I say, probably. Don't know how many. Say 300 women across the houses.
Yeah.
And 2 staff on nights. So anything could happen. They could be beating each other.
So in effect, they're unlocked, aren't they? It's like having people in a...
It's like the conditions like an open prison, pretty much. They mixed young offenders and adults in the houses, which I've heard, I don't know if the regulations have changed, isn't legal, but they did it.
They did it in the male estate, thinking, putting young offenders with adults to calm them down. What happened?
They could learn off the older prisoners, but they were learning the bad things.
They put young offenders, male young offenders, on adult wings. And you know what happened? They sort of took off.
Oh, yeah.
Started bullying the adults. Yeah. Why did you leave Style?
Well, I've started for a number of reasons. Governors in the prison service, they don't get sacked, no matter what they do wrong from what I've seen. They get moved sideways. They get given like a cushy number or hidden away. And we got a governor who came and I think he'd been a sex pest somewhere, basically. There'd been an allegation made against him. And he came and just changed everything, the regime. He made the place just a negative. You walked in.
Like when I was smiling, and I'm smiling to the camera, I'm smiling not because it's funny. No. I'm smiling because, you know, we had governors at Strangeways, governors at Forest Bank, who, like you said, he was sex pests or whatever, and they either got promoted or moved on.
Yeah.
So he's coming to a jail. Instead of seeing how it works, come in 3 months, have a look, have a look what's good, what's bad. He just come in and changed everything.
Come in straight away. He's got this regime in his head. He's never worked in a women's prison before, as far as I'm aware. He tried to run it as a male jail, which, in terms of physical structure and style, the dynamic staff and prisoners, it just didn't work. And it's just the amount of staff that left is untrue.
There you go.
You know, people still get in touch with me now, say, oh, so-and-so's left. So-and-so's gone work in a factory rather than be there. It's getting decimated. All the experience had gone. Because I'd only been there 2 years when I left, but there's people there done 20, 30 years they were leaving before the retirement, before the pension, because they were thinking it's not worth it, this.
Mental health, drinking culture.
More so at Grizzly, drinking culture.
Really?
But it did go on at Style.
A lot of people in that job, been in it a long time, they started off on good money. They get into that poverty trap, mortgages. They're talking about the pension. It's not as good as a police pension, but it's half decent.
Oh, yeah.
2 of my mates, less than 12 months into retirement, have just passed. This is the point, the whole point.
There's an older fella there, an older officer. He'd been in 30 odd years. He'd worked male jails everywhere. And every day you'd see him, he'd come up to you and he'd say, I've got however many late shifts, however many main shifts left to counting what comes after. This has been your life, but has it been worth it? If that's all you're worried about now, how many shifts are left?
You know what? It's a sad state of affairs that so many conversations with, they're not saying, Sam, you know, look at my pension. They're telling themselves. When I left, I got finished 2:16, last shift 2:15, yeah? There were people saying, you know, just another 8 years. 8 years of shite, stress, to get a pension that, you know, you're going to be lucky to live.
You're not going to be able to enjoy it. You're not going to be able to enjoy retirement because you're going to be recovering mentally, physically from the last 34 years.
Alcoholics.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not condemning people. Any regrets leaving?
No, to be truly honest, no.
Did you enjoy the job?
At first I did, I enjoyed it. You could have 10 bad days, and then you'd have one good day where you get through to somebody, or you stop them self-harming, or you sort something out for it. It's the little things. So I got satisfaction from that.
Correct, from helping people. Helping people helps you.
Yeah. It could be a little thing, like, it could be something bad happened, big fight, staff assaulted, and then someone said, oh, my mum's number's not on my pin. Can you sort it? And I did. And they're grateful. So that makes you think, oh, that's why I'm here. I'm here to do that, to help them. But
You can make a difference in people's lives, can't you? But I would imagine the workload there, it's very difficult because I would imagine you're just going from one incident to another.
oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Like I say, the ratio, staff prisoner ratio is different everywhere, but you're in a house on your own with 30 prisoners. You've got to do everything on that house. We've got to do all the applications, get them off to work.
Suicide, self-harm document.
Yeah.
How many out of documents were there? A lot.
Well, on the wing at Style, the most we ever had was 52 acts.
Out of how many?
100.
Right, let me explain about the act document. It identified people who were at risk. When you get 50 people on a wing of 100, they're at risk. Everyone might as well be on. There's no way you can operate.
Oh yeah, well, they had like the wing was split into two sides, and each side had a cleaning officer, they had your movements officer,
yeah,
and then the third person was just the act officer. And that's all they did.
Just going around checking on people.
Yeah, because you could have 5 people on who need to be checked 5 times every hour. You've got 3 people need doing 4 times every hour. I mean, you've got people who every hour, so and so. So you just headless chicken, basically.
That people will never understand, will they?
No. If an incident does happen, somebody self-harms, you've got to stay with them until the nurse comes. They could be 10 minutes, do all the paperwork. And then you list your checks, you're behind. So it doesn't work. It's unsafe.
Sad state of affairs, mate.
It's a flawed system, really.
So you've done Style. You're going to Grizzly now.
Yeah, we moved to Grizzly just for
convenience.
Convenience, and like the culture at Style had changed, but it was closer to home, Grizzly. I didn't have to get up as early in the morning. And like I say, I'd done a bit of detached duty while I was at Style in a male jail. I was only there a few weeks, but that made me realise, yeah, I could do this, I could work with men. Because people at Style are very much like, oh, male jails, Renata, oh, I wouldn't want to go there. And I realised it's not the case at all, actually. Like, as a man, I can relate more to men. Because the women have got a barrier up, understandably.
Some of them have got problems with men, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. They've been abused, been beaten up, sexually abused all their life, some of them. So obviously we don't trust men. But it's flipped round, I think, in a male jail, where they either act inappropriately or don't know how to act with female staff, but with men, you can sort of build a bridge with some of them.
So what was your reception like? You've done 3 years at Style. You arrive at Grizzly. Did you go in there thinking you knew everything, or did you go in there thinking, right, male jail, first time, ask questions, be a bit humble?
Yeah, I went in knowing, I know the basics of how to unlock a door, how a prison works, how to do a roll check account, how to fill in an act. But I've not worked with men before. I've not worked in a traditional prison, because like Grizzly, it's all wings, all traditional wings. With none of the houses like at Style. Everybody's locked in for their own cell. It's mostly single cells across the board at Grizzly.
What's the population of Grizzly?
It's quite a lot. When I left, the capacity was 1,200 and something.
Cat C prisoners.
We sometimes have Cat B prisoners if they just keep on the seg.
Yeah.
And they won't go anywhere else. But Cat C prisoners mainly working towards trying to get the Cat D open status. You had a mixture of everything. You had people in for 6 months, you had lifers in there. There's a foreign national wing in Grizzly where Home Office staff, immigration work with them. I think it's 50% sex offenders as well, vulnerable prisoners, VPs at Grizzly. So
what was the culture change like?
Coming to Grizzly, it was like coming to Wild West in terms of the staff. The prisoners I could sort of deal with. But
is it called Grizzly for a reason?
I think that walks back to like the 80s, 90s. It comes from, I think after the Manchester riots, they had a riot here.
Yeah.
They were on the roof and that.
People forget that, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
When Strangeways riots went off, prisons
they
were going...
copycat ones, yeah, but for the same reasons here. Like, they didn't have sanitation, they were still slopping out. It was like that, 91, say. Then they rebuilt a lot of the prison then. What was the original question?
So, did you enjoy... So, you've come in, right, it is new to you.
Yeah.
But how were you received by the staff?
When we first turned up...
We made to feel welcome.
Some staff were... It's across the prison service, there's this thing about staff who've got time in. And they see somebody they've not seen before, like, oh, I've got 30 years, I'm not talking to him. And then there's some who were sort of sounding you out. You know, they are the older staff, they've been there 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
But they're seeing if you've got a day's work in you. They're seeing, like you say, have you got bottle? They're just watching you and saying, oh, he's all right, he's doing a day's work, he's getting stuck in, he's talking to prisoners, he's not just sat in an office. Well, certainly wasn't hostile, no. They were quite interested in hearing about Style, what the difference was.
What were the management like? You know, did you have a good governor? Did you think, or...?
We didn't really see the governor much when I first came. I think in my 2.5 years at Grizzly, we went through 4 number 1 governors.
Which is not good, is it?
It's not good for stability.
As we said before, a good number one governor can make the jail a safe place for prisoners and staff. They can lift staff morale.
Yeah.
They can make a massive change to that prison. A shite governor can drag it down in no time at all.
You've got to remember, the time I came to Grizzly as well was just as COVID was ending. So it was getting to the point where we're looking at, like, what's the regime going to be? And obviously, that's governor's choice. They're meant to consult with the staff, the union, etc. The governor had quite an important job. You know, he's got to decide how we come out of COVID from them being banged up literally 23 hours.
Would it? Right, so let's talk about COVID.
Yeah.
Not COVID, the thing, but the regime. They were banged up 23 hours.
Oh, yeah, well,
much.
I worked at Style right through the first lockdown, 2020.
Yeah.
I did a lot of nights then.
Yeah.
And they were literally, that was it. They were locked in. They got an hour's exercise a day for about 10 hours exercise. They went round, the nursing staff tested them all. I don't know if it was every day, every week. None of you were positive, you'd get isolated. I'm sure them who were positive COVID with 24 hours, but food took to the door.
What do you do? Slide pancakes under the door or something like that?
No, we had to aprons, goggles, all these big protective suits, you know, when we didn't understand what COVID was. We'd have special staff detail to do the COVID meals. So you'd go around the jail, like, with PPE on, feed them all. But they didn't come out for cell, they didn't come out for exercise. I think they could have a shower.
How did it affect people?
Once, twice a week. Oh, badly. I think staff as well, but prisoners, they were getting no stimulation. Devastating. Because, like I say, the visits, I couldn't see kids. Yeah, it just went downhill, just went dreadful.
How many women in there have got kids? A lot?
Oh, most of them, majority, I'd say. Like, the visits all any day would be full of kids. It used to upset me a bit, kids in school uniform, come and visit their mum in jail. And it was good that, you know, the women were in contact with the kids.
Have they still got their, like, mother and baby unit?
Yeah, they've got that, yeah. So I think it's from third trimester of pregnancy, say.
Yeah.
So when the kid's 18 months old,
they
can have them, they can be on a mother and baby unit. You have to apply for it, and it's limited spaces. But
what are your thoughts on that?
I understand it, because it's sort of a nature-nurture thing. Like, you know, one mother should be able to give them the opportunity to bond with the child. And, you know, if they do want to be a responsible parent, I think it's good. But the setup of Style was so much that they take the babies for a walk in prams, like, once a day. But they take them past one of the housing blocks, which was basically where all the child killers were. There was a particular house, it was like a lifer house, but 70% of them had killed the kids, killed the babies.
Really?
And they're pushing prams past with babies in. And that used to throw me.
Upsetting. Sickening as well, isn't it? Do you think we should be providing some alternative? Because they're not a lot of long-term.
Out of the 300 prisoners, there's probably lifers, maybe a dozen, maybe a couple more. A lot of them were there. You know, the revolving door. They've been in and out all their life. They're in for 6 months, go out for a week, come back. A lot of addicts, yeah. A lot of them on methadone, heroin substitute.
What was the drug situation like?
Spice had just sort of come in. It was becoming a big thing just as I started. So obviously Spice, it's like synthetic cannabis. They can put it on paper, they spray it onto paper now, and they get it sent in the post. And I think they've got detection machines, but I don't know how they work. But I do remember doing a search in one of the rooms and finding foil, as if they've had heroin, you know, the burnt foil. So that must have been in there.
There's not a lot you can do, is there?
You can find the foil, but you're not going to find the drugs.
How was the drug situation in Grizzly compared to Style then? Because Style was more laid back, aren't they? When you come here, this is a traditional prison. Yeah. You've got your wing set up. It's got a big population.
Yeah.
Drugs?
Oh, yeah, a lot of drugs.
Rife?
Rife. Spice was rife. Like I say, how it gets in, I've got my theories, because obviously you can put it on paper, but I used to think, right, mail gets checked, so it can't be coming through the post. Visitors are searched. So what's the chance of visitors bringing it in? It's still possible they might miss a search, but must have been staff bringing it in, because we didn't get many throwovers. We have got cameras around.
Tell them what a throwover is.
Throwover is people will park up, say on this visitor's car park here, and they'll have arranged for like a particular wing, say, to throw a package over. It could have drugs in it, phones, anything really. And the person on the inside had either through a smuggled phone or speaking to the family on the out, say, right, at this time, throw it onto this exercise yard, or use drones sometimes, take it to this particular cell window. And it's a way of getting contraband in, basically. But it didn't really happen much here, or it wasn't noticed much on the cameras.
Did you have much of a regime here? Is it like 23-hour bang up?
No, it was, they had a proper full sort of unlocked regime in the last 12 months before I left.
Really?
12, 18 months, yeah.
Where did you get your staff from to do that?
Mass recruitment with, I don't know, a lesser standard of recruitment. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but they took anyone on during COVID if they were desperate. There was no assessment or interview.
No, I was told that basically if you applied for the job, you got it.
Yeah, because when I applied for it, it didn't have an interview, but called it a RAD day, recruit assessment day. So you went there, you did a maths test, English test, and then you did 4 role play type things. So you'd all go into a room and there'd be a camera at the back, there'd be an actor, prison staff who'd volunteered, and he'd either be, say, shouting at you, asking you a question, can you bring something in for me, can I come and visit so-and-so, even interpersonal skills. But during COVID, the people they're taking on, they don't know if they can talk to people or not. They've got no idea.
They're just still doing fitness tests.
They stopped it. I think we scrapped the fitness test completely. Staff who joined after a certain date, the older staff, didn't have to do it like every year anyway.
What are your thoughts on a fitness test?
I think it's needed because at Grizzly there's 3 landings on the wings. So if there's an incident on the freeze, you've got to be able to get there quickly. You've got to run up 6 flights of stairs. You've got to be able to get there and still be able to function, perform CNR if it's necessary, control and restrain. So I think you need to have basic level of fitness.
What was the experience like then when you got there? Did you still have some experienced staff?
Oh yeah, we had there's a member of staff in there who's one of the longest in the country. I don't know if she's still there. She joined in 77. She's still there, still on wing. We had some staff who've done 35, 36 years, 20 years. So we had a lot of experience. A lot of people's first job, a lot of young girls.
What would you say the ratio was?
It's getting 50-50 or maybe tip into, 40-50, more females.
You need male staff in a male jail, don't you?
Yeah, and it's not being sexist or anything. It's in terms of physicality and, you've got big lads in there. You've got bodybuilders. You've got people who cage fighters and, people who've violent people, ex-military people who've killed people, and like I say, I'm not being chauvinistic or anything, but if you've got somebody who's 2 stone wet through, 5 foot tall, 19-year-old.
They're not a threat. If you're on a landing with a lass you're getting it, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you, at any point, see sort of people not attending incidents or pretending things weren't happening or not getting involved?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like an incident would occur, say somebody kick it off, we'd have to escort them to the cell, or somebody been assaulted by a member of staff on our wing. And then we'd go back later and look at the CCTV for what would go on, and you'd see people just sat in the office, sat having a brew. We'd clearly see the incident going on. The alarm would be going off. It'd wait for dead, that alarm. You can't say you didn't hear it. And we're just doing paperwork or whatever.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's cowardly. I mean, not everybody's fighter, not every prison officer is
correct. You back up, aren't you? You back up.
But even if they were just like getting on the radio, asking for help, or pushing the alarm, or moving prisoners away, that's still something.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But just to completely do nothing.
Ignore the incident. Yeah. It's getting
that's harming me as much as the prisoner could harm me.
Your discipline's going into it.
Yeah.
When prisoners see that, all the sort of violence, anger, frustration is directed at a few people.
We know what reaction we'll get from certain people. Member of staff in there has been in, say, 25 years. He gave me the best piece of advice. He said, prisoners have got more time to study you than you've got to study them. And I thought about that, but it's right. Because we're running around doing a million things.
Yeah.
If you're on a wing with a prisoner, they're watching you, they're watching how you interact with other prisoners. They might ask you to do something, they're seeing how long it takes you, or are you going to do it, are you going to fob them off? So they get to know who they can go to.
You're on stage, they're looking at you, they see all your interactions with everyone else. If you're working with Joe Bloggs, who's an arsehole with people, then they're going to come to you if they want something doing, aren't they?
They'd come in the office some day, prisoners, and we'd look around the office and we'd go, oh, so-and-so not here, I was in this afternoon, I'll come back then. And ask the question then. Or, we'd say, oh...
Where would you put yourself? You've got people who've been a long time or not a long time or not helpful, can make it worse, to the best officers, which can be someone who does stuff for prisoners or somebody is chatty with them and interacts with them, or where would you put yourself?
I'd say I was on the fence. I was never there to bully prisoners. I was there to do a job. I wasn't super screw at all. I'm not the biggest, hardest person.
You got a personality, don't you? Well, you appear to.
Yeah, I can talk to people, and if they ask me to do something for them, I'd do my best to help them. I wouldn't just say, "Oh, I'm not bothered, not interested." I was going to do my job, help them all I could.
Yep.
But I was doing all I can. I wish I could have done more, but because of the tools in place, the system, I can only do so much.
You're
So
limited.
prisoners,
You're
limited,
limited, aren't you?
yeah.
Did you ever get frustrated because of the limitations of the job?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Because there were things like prisoners were asking me, "Oh, can you sort this out for me?" Say, I don't know, think of an example. Oh, my kid's ill, I want to give him a phone call, but his number's not on my pin, say. And so I'd think, right, well, I could give him a phone call on the office phone and just let him speak to his kid. I could ring up the pin clerk, ask them sort it. And so I'd always think the best thing to do. Some staff would just say, "Oh, you'll have to put an app in." But I'd always find a way to do it.
Get called a soft arse.
Oh yeah, sometimes, yeah. Even sometimes opening acts. Say if somebody had self-harmed, open an act for some staff. Oh, what, we have to check that now. You're going home. So what do you want me to do? If I don't open it and he kills himself?
It's part of the job. What was your worst day in Grizzly? Don't think about it too much.
Well, one's come to my head then. I got assaulted. It was D-wing it was. I worked on B-wing normally, which is the first night induction wing. But I was on D-wing one day. And a prisoner who was out on association. It was when we hadn't gone back to full regime yet after COVID. So half the wing was out. So it was like 1.5 landings were out.
Yeah.
1.5 were banged up. He said to me when I was walking out the gate to go and do the exercise yard. And he said, "Oh, boss, can you just get a vape off this lad here who's locked behind his door?" I said, "No, not at the moment. He's got to go do the exercise. He's banged up, you're out. If you want to get it off him, do it at dinner time when he come out for your meals, whatever." And straight after I said that, also I didn't say, "Oh no, F off, not interested." I explained to him that I couldn't and when he could. So he turns round to other two staff who were stood on the twos and said, "Come down here now before I knock him out." And then he walked off. So it took me a minute to process, and I thought, he's just threatening to knock me out. He's gone behind his door in. So he walked up the stairs, said to the other two staff, "He's just threatened to knock me out. He needs to go behind his door or place him on report. You know, you're going behind your door, you can't threaten staff, speak to staff like that." He ignored it all. So we tried to verbally speak to him calmly, to explain what he needs to do. And so we thought, right, he's not listening. We're going to have to guide him back physically. Not like roughly.
Yes.
Basically ushered him. So I placed an hand on him and she said, "Yo, come on, you need to go back." His left arm, he had a hot cup of tea, like freshly made, straight over me, in my face, on my neck, all over my shirt. And it was burning out. I remember shouting out because I could feel the burn. And then, obviously, the other two staff jumped on him. Alarm went off, he got restrained, got took to the seg. But I'd been assaulted before, but what made it the worst day is when the manager came onto the wing, sat there in the staff briefing room, covered in tea, my shirt's brown, got that big red burn on my neck. She rushes in and says, "How's the prisoner?"
Bad incidents made worse by bad managers. Your staff are there, ask your staff how they are, then you can ask. I've got no problem with somebody asking how the prisoners are.
Yeah.
But a good manager, you're going to check on your own staff. Are you all right? Do you need to go to hospital? Have you got burns? Do you need to see the nurse?
When she come back in and said, "Oh, you perhaps need to go healthcare." I was like, "All right," took myself off.
It does nothing for morale, that does. Let's stay at Grizzly.
When I walked out, on my last shift. There were a lot of good days. What was better about Grizzly than Style was I was on my own on like a house block a lot of the time at Style. But there, I was on a wing, B-wing, and it was the same staff every day.
Yep.
So we did have a good camaraderie. It was quite a good team.
You had a laugh.
I've got friends still speak to now and go and see some at weekend. And we were a good team, we had a laugh.
Dark humour.
Definitely.
You've got to, haven't you?
But even if you thought, "Oh, I can't be bothered with the job today," or you're tired, you knew you were going to go in, you knew you could speak to people, have a laugh, your colleagues. So there were a lot of good days, and we sort of bounced off each other, You have no particular favourite day, but there's a lot of people I miss who worked in their staff. I'm doing this to explain, what the prison service is like, the state it's in. But there are people in there who are amazing. Who do an amazing job every day. Yeah. Who are there who are actually helping
I'm glad
prisoners.
you said it good days, because like you say, you can have, unlike Style, there you could probably have 5 or 6 good days and 1 bad day, and you remember the bad day.
So like I say, we're across for the 4+ years I did in prison service. I can only remember a few specific days because some of them were just humdrum normal Like Groundhog Day, the same stuff, same routine.
It's a lot of boring stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
If people are out, and people need to understand that, the easiest days is when you can get everyone out.
Yeah.
However, they can be the most boring days.
Oh, yeah.
Stood on a landing, getting backache, you might have a brew.
Because sometimes it was, towards the end of, say, on a weekend at Grizzly, we had an hour in the morning. If the wing was locked down in the morning or afternoon because of staffing, we'd let them out for 2 hours. And that 2 hours would be the slowest 2 hours ever. There was no bother, no incidents going on. The lads are just out doing the exercise yard, setting with the mates in the cells, playing PlayStation, whatever. And we just stood about, waiting for something to happen. We don't want anything to happen, but we just sort of stood there.
So if somebody comes up to you, about joining the prison service, what are you going to tell them?
I was thinking this on the way here. I wouldn't recommend the job to anyone, but if somebody really wanted to do it, I'd say to them, don't go in thinking you know everything. Even if you've done something similar, like the police, customer service, just get it all out of your head, go in, and just watch for a few weeks, couple of months, what the staff are doing. You'll get to know very quickly. Take little bits from each one. That's what we said to me. Don't copy a particular officer and be like them.
Be yourself.
Take little bits from each one, but bring your own flavour to it.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Be humble.
Admit when you're wrong. They said this in the training as well. They asked the question, would you ever apologise to a prisoner? And everyone was like, oh, no. Well, if you've honestly made a mistake or not done something for them that you said you would, then yeah, we're humans. And that's keeping the peace. And a lot of the time, I've done it and we say, you know what, I appreciate it, you've not just fobbed me off. If people want to do the job, I'd say go for it and, give it your best. And I do hope people enjoy it. But because of my experience, I wouldn't, if someone said, oh, I need a job, what job could I do? I wouldn't recommend it.
Do you think it's a job now that people are going to stay in 20 years?
Oh, no, definitely not. It was back then, in the 80s, 70s.
We were banged up all day, and you had shitloads of staff.
Yeah.
Good rates of pay, and a good pension.
Well, the older staff said at Grizzly, like it's 4 staff on each landing. But now it's 1 staff on each landing. If that, one of them's on the exercise yard, one of them's in the office doing paperwork.
Yeah.
So it's gone. So back then, it probably was all right. You had about 10 cells that were your responsibility. They used to have the clubs, didn't they? They could go for the pub at dinner time in the jail. If they had one here, I don't know where it was. But it was a different world.
Have they put the wages back up? What's the starting wage now as an officer? Do you know?
I think they're saying 30 now.
30 grand.
30 grand.
When I left, it was near enough 30 grand. Then they dropped it down to 22.
22. I started on,
And then different prisons have started putting the rates up to try and retain people and just get people through the door.
I think they're just trying everything now. Because I read a statistic before I joined, 70% of prison officers leave within the first 3 years. And I always said to myself, it might be a career for me, this, it might not be, but I don't want to be a statistic. So I'm glad I stayed that bit longer.
When I joined Strangeways, they were lucky if they lost like 3 staff a year. People are going, stay the course. Private sector, very different, constant recruitment. So I'm offering you 45 grand to go back to Style or Grizzly, 45 grand a year.
No amount of money would make me go back.
How did it impact you mental health?
The reason why I left Grizzly in the end was because I was getting a bit of a drink problem. I don't mind saying it. I'm quite open about it. There was a culture here of going to the pub every dinner time, and I didn't do it every day. But towards the end, I was doing it more and more, and go back to work. But I could say, go, have a meal for my lunch, have 2 pints, say, or 1, and go back and do my job. People were having 5 or 6 pints, going back. The prisoners were smelling at them and saying, you've been to the pub, you're pissed. But then they were having drunken arguments with prisoners, the staff, getting leery with them, like completely different to how they were in the morning.
Were the young ones following suit?
Because it was very much like the older staff on the wing were like, oh, come pub with us, come pub. But then it was also after work as well, on my own. Say I'd had a bad day, busy day.
Is that stress?
Towards the end, stress, yeah. You get home, it was a ritual, have a drink. And then one morning, I woke up, I think, probably just before I had been noticing. I woke up one morning for the shift, and on the mattress next to me was a glass of whiskey still there. And that no job should make me feel like this. And if this carries on, it's gonna end badly. And I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression towards the end as well.
How long have you been out now? You finished September.
8 months.
And
10th of September it was, so.
And how are you feeling now in yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm in a job now that I love. I get up in the morning and I don't think, as I did last 2 months here, or what could I say to ring in sick. Bounce to work every day. I love my job. in a better place. I'm glad I'm out, and I have the utmost respect for the people who are still in the job, who are doing the job properly, and who are treating, the prisoners right, trying to help them best they can. It's a hell of a job, but a lot needs to change. More money needs to go into the system. They need to
Enough staff.
They need to bring back proper interviews and like say role play things. See how people actually act in the situations they're going to face. If you go for a job at a supermarket, they say, "Oh, customer says got the wrong change." There's none of that in prison service. It's just basically you're old enough, you can see you're in. Yeah.
Did you ever use your baton?
No.
Did you have cuffs when you were in?
At Grizzly we did, yeah, not at Style.
What do you think from having Parva?
Well, we had Parva at Grizzly. I never used it. The only time I drew it is that time I got assaulted with a cup of tea, but I didn't use it.
What do you think about tasers?
I think it's accident waiting to happen. Because I wasn't part of it, but there's a culture of like macho men in prison. And they talk about it in meetings and that. I've got more than you. It's pathetic. Like the tasers. It'd be competition who's the first person to taser someone. How many people have you tasered this month?
For me, I have no problem with people who are qualified, cool head.
Yeah.
Say
like seeing them tasers, no one else. And if it's really needed, we send them in. Like the Nationals, maybe they could have them. But giving one to every officer or every wing, it's accident waiting to happen. It's not good. And it's someone's going to end up dead. And like I say, I just don't think it's needed. The prison service has lasted how many 100 years without them. We brought Parva and brought cuffs in.
What is your best defence? Communication. Yeah. Talk to people properly.
Even if they're shouting in your face, don't shout back at them. Just try and talk to them calmly, because it's contagious. Like my behaviour, their behaviour will reflect on, it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's a circle.
It's a circle.
And also, if you stand there bawling at them, you've got nowhere to go, have you?
Yeah.
Once you're up there with them.
Oh, yeah. That's it then. But then if I'm shouting at them, I'm the role model. So they're just going to shout back. Yeah, it's definitely mouth is the best tool. But there's some people in there, like say the macho men culture, who'd come into the office in the morning and say, right, who are we restraining today? And we just look at them and think, what planet are you on?
Dicks.
Yeah. Clearly people who are insecure about themselves.
Do you think, doing that job both at Style and at Grizzly, you were able to be yourself?
I think so, yeah. I didn't feel like I could always voice my opinion.
Do you think you're under pressure to be, like the opening the act documents and being a soft ass and things like that?
Yeah.
Like when I first started, it was difficult because people, you'd be stood on your own. There'd be a crowd, you'd be stood on your own. You'd get someone out for a phone call. I remember it.
Oh, yeah.
They'd all be on the end of landing, calling you, and you'd be like that. No worries. It's just having 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened there, but...
It's difficult, isn't it?
I'd rather go home knowing that, he's had a phone call, he's happy, than thinking he might kill himself tonight because I've not given him a phone call. It's a little thing like that. They just sat laughing at you. But it's decency. I do have a conscience.
The integrity.
Like, I never made false promises to prisoners. If they asked me to do something and I didn't know how to do it, I'd tell them, I'm not sure how to do that. I'll try and find out. But if they can't, come and ask me again or something. I wouldn't say, yeah, I'll do that and then not do it. Or I'll do it tomorrow and not be in, which some people did. You say, I'll do that for you this afternoon, but we finished at 12:30.
Did you have any fear ever of bumping into ex-cons out and about?
I bumped into a few. I bumped into one woman from Style, just walking near where I live. Then two fellas I don't recognise. One of them went past on a bike. He said, oh, he's still at Grizzly, boss. Another fella come up and said, oh, he's still at Grizzly. After I'd left. Didn't know who he was.
So you got no worries?
But just chatting to him, no, I've got no worries, because like I say, I never bullied anyone. I don't think I was ever out of order with anyone. We had run-ins with people, we had arguments with people.
Of course you do.
We've restrained people.
It's a stressful environment, isn't it? It's a dark environment.
I would have bumped into this lad from Grizzly after he'd left. He was saying, oh, he's still there. I was like, no, it's not a good place, is it? And, they know it's a bad environment. The lads, and they don't want to be there. The system has got a lot of bureaucratic sides.
Do you think we should be doing something with these low-risk people we're sending to prison? Other than just putting them in there, there's a lot of drugs, a lot of violence. It's got worse everywhere. We're definitely not rehabilitating anyone.
No, rehabilitation doesn't work, no.
You haven't even got enough staff to treat people decent or whatever. Treat people like animals, behave like animals.
Yeah. When people come to prison for something like comparatively minor, say it could be a small amount of drugs. And that's less minor than killing somebody or, sexual offences. And we've got somewhere to live when they come in. But then obviously they're in prison, they're not paying the rent, the place to live's gone. And we said there's a percentage of how many people get released homeless from Grizzly. I think it was over 60%. People get released with nowhere to go. So what they're going to do, they're going to come back. So we're almost creating the problem rather than solving it. So somebody who's, if you've been caught with a bit of drugs, might be struggling with money, they might have an addiction problem. So help them. Don't lock them in there with a load of other addicts.
Yeah. And then we don't look at why people got addictions, do we? A lot of people self-medicate. A lot of people have had bad childhoods, abuse, physical violence.
Like I say, the methadone programme, you mentioned it before. The lads used to say to us, who were on methadone is more addictive than heroin, but it's a heroin substitute. So they're not actually dealing with the addiction, they're just getting them addicted to something else.
It's costly. Someone makes a mint out of heroin programs in prison. Human rights, you can't give them the old DF 118s. They come in, so when I started my career, they come in, heroin addicts, do a rattle, not pleasant, not good. That used to put a lot of people off prison. Do the rattle. 6 months later, you'd see them leaving prison, they're going at gym, they're fit and healthy, they're in with a chance. Methadone, they come in looking like shit and went out looking like shit.
You just basically maintaining them until they go out, and then they can trying to get to the bottom of why they first started on that drug. What mental health issues they might have, what the life's been like. There's none of that. And I rarely saw group therapy going on, stuff like that. It was just, right, go and get your methadone. See you later. Next day, same again. Yeah.
Do you regret your prison career?
No, because I've learned a lot about different people. I was always quite a quiet lad growing up, but now I'm not so much because I've learned to talk to people. I've learned my interpersonal skills. I think I could work in any customer service position after dealing with, prisoners. So I'm grateful for what it's given me in that respect,
Definitely.
If it was to go back, would I do it again? Probably, because it's made me who I am now. And it's
I've
made
said
me,
that. Don't regret it.
No.
You've met people, learned
I've made friends for life. I've learned things. I've learned a lot about myself. I wouldn't be in this good place I'm in now without that, because you have to do something bad to appreciate the good.
I've enjoyed chatting to this lad, mate. Snappy, honest, open. If you've got any questions and you'd like me to get him back and answer your questions, anything at all about female prisons, male prisons, about the job, starting in the job, because like I say...
Oh yeah, anyone's got the questions about recruitment process, what happens when you join the prison service, I'd happily come back answer any questions. Because like I say, if you want to do it, I'll try and help you best I can in terms of what to expect.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I've enjoyed that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. I'll see you there.
All right.
Real forage, forecast, real people, real stories, real forage, forecast, real people.